Thank you, Harad. I did talk about the past a little bit last time, so I'll focus mostly on present and future. And I'd like to think that both are bright. The trainees may not think that especially when they're about to embark on examinations. So it's going to be a snapshot of where we are at the moment, and what's the future going to be like. Um, I would start off by reminding everybody what the examinations department workload is like. So we cover examinations for 17 specialties, which equates to approximately 40 exams at all the different parts. Not so much stage A anymore, but parts 1, 2, certificates and diplomas. Um, we also have to work with local centers, and many exams are held at the college. So that in itself also brings a lot of work for the department and the college. We use international centers for part 1 and histopathology part 2. And because we have some involvement with the curricula with the RCP and the IBMS, we are the ones who are responsible for administering the exams for them as well. So there is provision for exams for biomedical scientists. So the reason for reminding everyone about this workload is to say that even in the last 20 months, where we've had the various lockdowns and quite an upheaval in the examinations world, we have maintained everything as much as has been possible. So where are we for the moment? Well, I can confidently say that we've managed to deliver the same number of exams as before. And in autumn last year and spring of this year, the majority were delivered on the online platform. So especially the ones that lend themselves quite easily to online work. So MCQs, essays, SAQs, and even oral exams. And a lot of these were done by candidates at home with online live proctoring. And that in itself is quite a challenge, especially when we want to rely on a company that provides online examinations. And we look at this aspect very, very carefully. Some of the exams which are very sort of practical don't lend themselves to online examinations. So we managed to maintain these at centers and at the college using the traditional delivery format. So as you all might remember, when the first lockdown started, we had to defer the exams of spring 2020. And there's been a major catch up since then. And I'm very pleased to say that we've handled very large numbers of candidates over 3 sittings since that time we deferred the exam. So for instance, in the exams that have just completed, the results of which were published last week, we had just under 1,000 candidates in 40 exams. So this is just to highlight the enormous amount of work that goes on behind the scenes, and especially bringing on the online aspect of exam delivery. So currently, especially talking about what the exams we've just done, all part 1 exams took place online, and we have a much better overall understanding and experience of this. In that we have a good idea of the timeframes as to when to submit papers and then receive them back for editing, and then making sure that they're all ready to go on exam days. So since the first time, we have certainly become much better at that. All the part 2 exams were done offline and restoring old practices. And one of the main reasons for this was that some of the online delivery doesn't allow complexities of exams, and our exams are quite complex in many specialties. And the oral exams are very resource heavy. So we decided that all of these should restore to the old ways of delivery. One other new thing that has happened is that we opened a new histopathology Part 2 center in Dubai. And in the exams just done, we had up to 70 international candidates, majority of whom were examined in Dubai and some in Cairo. And that allowed us to do a major catch-up session because the international candidates had been excluded last year from sitting any of the exams because of the obvious travel restrictions that were in place. So what I would like to say is that the examinations have evolved over the past 20 months. We've learned many lessons. We've shared these lessons with other colleges and been able to improve over the 20 months. And I think I can confidently say that things are fairly stable in terms of the actual logistics in delivering exams this way. So what does the future hold? So the plan at the moment is that we are going to retain the online delivery for Part 1 exams. And we have a much better idea about the infrastructure that would be required. So if we're going to stay with candidates taking the exam from home, then we will have proper sound advice to give to them. But we may be looking into test centers as well. So the kind of test centers that you have for, say, driving tests and all that. And the advantage of that would be that we would get ready-made access to reliable and stable internet and Wi-Fi, but also perhaps proctoring as well. And whichever way we do it, we have to make sure that the proctoring is of very high standard, and we are very keen that all equality and diversity requirements are maintained, and that includes proctors as well. So we will make sure that that does carry on. And one of the things we learned about online examinations was that it does require special tools to allow candidates to put on drawings and tables and charts and all that. So that's something that we may be looking at to allow some of these complex exams to be delivered online if and when required. We may be looking at increasing use of international centers. So at the moment, we are focused on the Middle East. So we've got Jordan, Egypt, and the Emirates. But it's possible that we may go beyond. But obviously, the time zones can be a restrictive factor there. And it may be necessary to modify some of the Part 2 examinations to make them more suitable for online delivery. And you'll be hearing about the pathology portal in a moment. And I'm hoping that at some point, once it's very well developed, then there will be some support on the portal for exam preparation. Professor MacLeod did mention technology and digitization, and this is very much at the forefront of our thoughts as well in our exams. Particularly the Part 2 in histopathology. So there is a group that's working on this, and it does require special techniques, especially in cytology slide scanning. But our experience with the pathology portal that's being developed should also help towards this. And the digital exams will reflect changes in the curricula and training that you've been hearing about. And it will be a big advantage if we do go down the digital route for examinations in the future, because it really does open up the exams even more broadly to the international scene, and it retains the demand and popularity of our college. And anything that we do in terms of changes to the exams will obviously require GMC approval. As a department, we are very much focused on quality assurance of our exams, and so that will remain as part of our big focus. We have a quality assurance manager as well who does provide us with some very, very useful statistics that helps us to develop the sort of exam format and content going forward. So we'll be also remodeling exams as and when needed with our joint working with the RCP. And then in terms of keeping up with the online delivery, um, we may be going down the route of acquiring full packages with the online companies who would help us with question banking, standard setting, the actual delivery itself, and then post-exam statistics and quality assurance. So that's all the work that's been going on in the background. So to end with, I would like to say that 20 months have been very, very hard work, but I would say successful. The exams have evolved, the exam delivery has evolved, and we, in some ways, I think, have broken a few boundaries as well, and ensured that the standards have been maintained, even with this new format. And it's great that we managed to catch up with our backlog. And when we sort of hear about examinations at other colleges, it's very good to know that we've done extremely well. Thank you very much.